The story begins with Nathan Kane, an assistant bank manager starting another monotonous day at work. Disenchanted with his routine, he harbors quiet feelings for his coworker, Sherry Margrave, who has been with the bank for 4 months. During the day, Nathan meets with a regular client, Earl, a grieving widower at risk of losing both his home and his shop. Out of empathy, Nathan discreetly agrees to delay Earl's paperwork until after the holidays, giving him some breathing room to sort things out. Later, Sherry invites Nathan to lunch. He initially declines, but after reflecting on Earl's heartfelt words about his late wife, Betty, he decides to take a leap. Over lunch, Nathan opens up about his rare condition, congenital insensitivity to pain, which led to an overly sheltered upbringing. Sherry had witnessed the effects earlier when Nathan spilled scalding coffee on his hand without flinching. Due to the risk of injury, Nathan has avoided solid food for most of his life, but Sherry encourages him to try cherry pie, which he finds astonishingly delightful. She then invites him to her art exhibition that evening. That night, Nathan contemplates attending the show while playing online video games with his friend Roscoe Dixon, whom he knows only virtually. Roscoe encourages Nathan not to let this chance slip by. Taking his advice, Nathan attends the exhibit and spends time with Sherry afterward. During their outing, they encounter one of Nathan's old school bullies who mockingly nicknamed him Novocaine because of his condition. Sherry cleverly gets back at the bully by tricking him into downing shots of ghost pepper hot sauce. On Christmas Eve morning, Nathan wakes up feeling more alive than ever, determined to share his feelings with Sherry. However, his plans are violently interrupted when 3 armed robbers, Simon, Andre, and Ben, storm into the bank disguised as Santa Claus. Firing into the ceiling to establish control, Simon demands the vault code from the manager, Nigel. When Nigel refuses, Simon brutally executes him in front of the terrified staff and customers. To prove his seriousness, Simon assaults Sherry, prompting Nathan to reluctantly surrender the vault code. The robbers seize the cash and Sherry as a hostage before escaping. Outside, they force the police to disarm, then open fire, leaving several officers wounded. In the chaos, Nathan acts fast, using his belt as a tourniquet for an injured officer. He then grabs the cop's gun and commandeers his vehicle in a desperate attempt to rescue Sherry. Nathan pursues the robbers but crashes in a narrow alleyway. He manages to track Ben to a nearby kitchen, leading to a brutal fight. During the struggle, the gun falls into a pot of scalding oil, which Nathan fearlessly plunges his hand into. Despite his condition, the intensity of the situation pushes him to his limits. The confrontation ends with Nathan fatally shooting Ben. Traumatized, he vomits but quickly regains focus, photographing a tattoo on Ben's body and sending it to his online friend Roscoe, hoping it might help identify Ben's associates or workplace, and ultimately lead him to Simon and Andre. Meanwhile, detectives Mincy and Coltrane arrive at the crime scene. As they piece together the events, suspicion begins to fall on Nathan. Mincy manages to get in touch with him, warning that he is now considered a suspect. Nathan pleads his case, explaining that he is acting alone out of desperation to save Sherry, convinced that the authorities won't move fast enough. Mincy, though wary, begins to understand Nathan's motives and shows a measure of sympathy for his resolve. Nathan seeks medical help from Earl, who reluctantly assists him in removing a bullet lodged in his arm. Earl is taken aback by Nathan's inability to feel pain, but Nathan expresses his gratitude by handing him a thick wad of stolen cash, enough to help Earl pay off his house. Touched by the gesture, Earl mentions that Betty always spoke fondly of Nathan. Meanwhile, Simon and Andre are holed up in an auto shop, growing uneasy over Ben's failure to return. It's revealed that Sherry is actually Simon's sister and had been part of the heist from the beginning, using her position at the bank as an inside connection. However, she's visibly disturbed by Simon's cold-blooded murder of Nigel, which crossed a line even for her. Nathan's quest for answers leads him to the tattoo shop where Ben had been. There, he confronts the artist, Zeno, who admits to knowing Ben but becomes suspicious of Nathan's probing. When tension escalates, Nathan pulls a gun, but Zeno's assistant manages to disarm him, only to be accidentally knocked out by Zeno during the scuffle. Thrown into a mirror, Nathan uses the shards to embed glass into his knuckles, turning his fists into deadly weapons. In a brutal outburst, he slashes Zeno across the face, permanently blinding him. Zeno refuses to give up any information, prompting Nathan to take a symbolic act of defiance by using a tattoo needle to black out the swastika inked on Zeno's chest. Finally, Roscoe comes through with Ben's home address. In a chilling move, Nathan tattoos the address onto his own hand, fully committed to tracking down Simon and Andre, no matter the cost. Andre hears over the police scanner that Ben is dead, killed by a skinny guy in a suit. Simon confirms it, and Sherry immediately realizes that Nathan is responsible. Driven by rage, Andre sets out to avenge his brother's death. Meanwhile, Nathan heads to Ben's house, only to discover it's rigged with traps. He's struck in the leg by an arrow and then snared, left hanging upside down by his foot. In desperation, he calls Roscoe for help. Initially reluctant, aware of Nathan's connection to the robbery and murder, Roscoe is eventually swayed when Nathan pleads with him, emphasizing how much saving Sherry means and reminding him that he's his only real friend. Roscoe agrees to come in 10 minutes, but Andre arrives first. Andre begins torturing Nathan in revenge, but Nathan, immune to pain, fakes agony. Just as Andre is about to gouge out his eye, Roscoe intervenes, knocking Andre over the head. A fierce struggle ensues. Roscoe tosses Nathan a knife, which ends up lodged in his own hand, but Nathan turns the tables by driving the blade through Andre's foot. In a brutal move, Nathan traps Andre's head between his legs and shoves the arrow in his leg deeper until it pierces Andre's skull. As police arrive, Roscoe creates a distraction so Nathan can escape. Though Roscoe is arrested, he tips off detectives Mincy and Coltrane about Nathan's next destination. Nathan tracks Simon to an auto body shop and confronts him at gunpoint. But Simon flips the script, revealing that he's Sherry's brother and that she was part of the heist all along. Just as Simon prepares to kill Nathan, detectives arrive and shoot Simon in the side. Nathan is loaded into an ambulance, battered and bloodied. But the danger isn't over. He suddenly shoots Coltrane in the neck and wounds Mincy. Simon seizes the opportunity, kills the paramedics, grabs the stolen cash, and flees in the ambulance with Nathan still inside. Realizing Simon's plan, Sherry helps Mincy up. Together with Roscoe, they race to intercept Simon, knowing he's headed to a boat to escape with the money. Nathan regains consciousness and, in a desperate move, dislocates his thumb to slip free from the handcuffs. Thinking fast, he grabs a defibrillator and shocks Simon in the head, causing the ambulance to crash. Moments later, Sherry arrives, only to witness Simon viciously beating Nathan and snapping his arm, leaving the bone exposed. As Simon turns to kill Sherry, Nathan injects himself with adrenaline and, in a final act of raw determination, uses the protruding bone to impale Simon through the jaw, killing him instantly. Nathan then blacks out as paramedics arrive at the scene. Weeks later, Nathan awakens from a medically induced coma in a hospital room, with Roscoe faithfully by his side. Detective Mincy soon enters and informs him that, despite facing enough charges to lock him up for years, his heroic actions, saving her life, along with his status as a well-to-do banker, earned him a lenient deal, just 6 months of house arrest. 1 year passes. Nathan and Roscoe are still gaming like old times, but today, Nathan has other plans. He heads out on a prison visit to see Sherry, who is now serving time but due for release in 8 months. They sit together sharing a cherry pie just like they did on their first date. As their visit comes to a close, Nathan takes a bite, smiles, and savors the taste of second chances.